The wrench slipped from my sweat-slicked fingers and clattered against the concrete, echoing like a gunshot in the empty courtyard. Marcus's laugh cut through the dusk, warm and teasing, as he leaned over to pick it up, his shoulder brushing mine in that accidental on-purpose way that had my heart doing stupid flips. But then his eyes caught something in the shadows, a glint of metal unnatural and wrong, and the laughter died, replaced by a whisper that chilled me deeper than the autumn wind. "Rowan, look, that's not rust. That's a cut." I froze, the world narrowing to that single, severed cable snaking out from under the greenhouse frame we'd hammered together just hours before. We'd poured everything into this, late nights sketching blueprints on napkins at the diner, weekends hauling soil and seedlings in my beat-up Ford pickup, dreams of turning our high school eco-club into something real, something that outlasted us. Pemberton High, tucked in the Rust Belt sprawl of Pittsburgh, wasn't exactly a hotbed for green initiatives. Coal country kids like us grew up knowing the earth as something to mine, not nurture. But Marcus, he saw possibilities where I saw scars. And me, I saw him. We'd met freshman year in Mr. Hale's biology class, the kind of elective you take because it's a blow-off, not because you're chasing AP credits. Marcus slouched in the back row, doodling fractal vines on his notebook margins, his dark skin glowing under the fluorescent hum like he carried summer with him. I was the quiet one up front, the scholarship kid from the trailer park on the edge of town, burying myself in textbooks to forget the yelling at home. Our first real conversation happened over a lab on photosynthesis, him arguing that plants breathe hope into concrete jungles, me countering with facts about urban blight. By the bell, we'd swapped numbers, and by winter, we'd swapped secrets. That greenhouse was our rebellion. Last spring, after the school board axed funding for arts and environmentals to balance the budget, Marcus rallied the club. "We're not quitting," he'd said, his voice steady as he passed around a petition. 20 signatures turned into a crowdfunding page. Donations from alumni who'd escaped the mills, tips from our part-time gigs at the hardware store. I handled the builds, my hands calloused from Dad's old tools, while Marcus charmed suppliers for free panes and PVC. We broke ground in September, under a sky bruised with storm clouds, the whole club cheering as we sank the first post. It felt like staking a claim. This patch of cracked asphalt was ours, a sanctuary of green in a world that chewed up dreams and spat out dust. As the weeks blurred, so did the lines between us. Stolen glances over blueprints turned into brushes of knuckles while tying rebar. One rainy afternoon, hunkered under the half-raised frame, water dripping like tears from the eaves, Marcus turned to me with that half-smile that unraveled me. "You know why I dragged you into this, right?" His voice was low, the rain muffling the world outside. I swallowed, heart hammering. "Because I'm cheap labor?" He laughed, then sobered, his fingers tracing the edge of a seedling pot between us. "Because you get it, the fight, not just for the plants, but for making something beautiful out of the broken." His eyes held mine, and in that suspended moment, I knew. I leaned in, our lips meeting soft and tentative, tasting of soil and possibility. It was our first kiss, clumsy, perfect, the kind that rewires your soul. From there, it was a quiet revolution. We'd sneak off after club meetings, parking my truck on the bluffs overlooking the Monongahela River, windows fogged with confessions. Marcus talked about his mom, a nurse pulling doubles at the hospital, how he'd hide his sketches under the mattress so his stepdad wouldn't mock them. I admitted the bruises from home weren't always from falling off the porch, and how biology class was my escape hatch from it all. Being gay in a town like ours? It was the unspoken fault line. Whispers in the halls, graffiti on the bathroom stalls. Ferry Row, scrawled next to my locker once, until Marcus painted over it with a vine mural that got us both detention. But together we were unbreakable. The greenhouse became our metaphor. Fragile glass walls, but roots that ran deep. By November it was nearly done. Solar panels hummed faintly, charging batteries for the grow lights. We'd planted heirloom tomatoes from seeds Marcus smuggled from his grandma's garden in Georgia, and lettuce starts that promised fresh salads for the cafeteria. The club named it the Rowan, a nod to me, but really to the trees that bent but didn't break in Appalachian winds. Marcus joked it was for his favorite herb, but his eyes said otherwise. We planned the ribbon cutting for December, inviting the local paper, maybe even that environmental grant we'd applied for. It was more than a project. It was proof we could build without being torn down. That's why the sabotage hit like a gut punch. That night, after the club scattered, Marcus and I stayed to tweak the irrigation lines. The sun had dipped low, painting the sky in streaks of rust and gold, the same colors as the mill's smokestacks in the distance. We just finished, high-fiving like idiots, when I stepped back and my boot crunched on glass. Not the soft shatter of a dropped bulb, but a deliberate cascade, like someone had swung a bat at the corner panel. We dropped to our knees, flashlights cutting through the gloom. The damage was surgical. Cables sliced clean, not frayed by weather. Support struts bent at angles that screamed crowbar. Half the seedlings uprooted and stomped into mud. Worst was the note pinned to the door frame with a shard of glass. Freaks don't grow here. Burn it down next time. My stomach roiled. Who? The word escaped as a rasp. Marcus's face was a mask of controlled fury, but his hands trembled as he pocketed the note. Doesn't matter. We'll fix it. But his voice cracked, and I saw the fear he tried to hide. The kind that whispers you're not safe, not even in your own skin. We called the principal at dawn, but Mr. Hargrove, with his pressed khakis and perpetual frown, dismissed it as kids being kids. No cameras in the courtyard, no leads. The club fractured overnight. Sarah quit, muttering about bad juju. Jamal pushed for scrapping it altogether. Marcus and I, we doubled down, scavenging parts from junkyards, working till our fingers bled. But the kisses grew rarer, shadowed by exhaustion and the what-ifs gnawing at us. The betrayal came 2 weeks later, sharp as that severed wire. We traced a partial boot print to the AG shop, size 11, same as half the football team, but no one talked. Then, during lunch, I overheard Tyler Voss, Marcus's old track buddy, boasting in the cafeteria. Dumbass greens. Deserved it. My blood iced. Tyler, with his easy grin and shared history with Marcus. Summers training, winters crashing at each other's places. I'd always chalked up the tension to jealousy over club time, but this, I confronted him after school, cornering him by the bleachers. Why? What did it ever do to you? He sneered, all faux toughness. It? Or your little love nest? The word hung ugly between us. Turns out, Tyler had been nursing a grudge since Marcus came out to him last summer. Not with acceptance, but a slow poison of resentment. He'd rallied a couple guys, jealous of the attention, threatened by what we represented. You think you're heroes? Building your fairy tale while the rest of us grind. He spat the slur like it justified the wrecking bar. But the knife twist. He told Marcus to man up and stay quiet about us, or he'd expose it all. Marcus hadn't breathed a word to me, protecting what we had by carrying it alone. I found Marcus later that evening, sitting on the greenhouse steps amid the tarps we'd draped for repairs. His knees were drawn up, chin resting on them, the weight of unspoken miles between us. You knew, I said, not a question. He looked up, eyes red-rimmed, and nodded once. I thought, if I fixed it quiet, it'd blow over. Didn't want to drag you under. The confession cracked something in me. Anger, yes, but mostly grief for the boy who'd kissed me in the rain, now bowed by secrets. We argued, voices rising like the river in flood. Me accusing him of treating me like glass, him firing back that I didn't get the stakes, the whispers that followed us like smoke. This town eats its own, Rowan. I was trying to save us. The climax hit that Friday, under a sky spitting sleet. Tyler's crew showed up at dusk, 3 shadows with gas cans glinting. We just wired the last panel, Marcus and I side by side, our fight unresolved but the work binding us still. Shouts echoed, "Light it up!" and flames licked the base before we could react. Panic surged, but so did fury. I grabbed the fire extinguisher from the shed, Marcus yelling for me to call 911. We battled the blaze together, foam hissing against the hungry orange, until sirens wailed in the distance. Tyler bolted, but not before Marcus tackled him into the mud, pinning him down with a roar that echoed my own heart. Enough! Cops came, arrests followed, vandalism, attempted arson. Tyler's crew flipped on him, and the school board, facing headlines, reinstated funding threefold. But the real wreckage was us. In the aftermath, as ambulances checked us for smoke inhalation and the club rebuilt stronger, Marcus and I sat on those same blistered steps. I betrayed you, he murmured, voice raw. By not trusting you'd fight with me. I took his hand, calloused and warm. We both did. But look, we're still here. Roots and all. The greenhouse reopened in spring. Tomatoes ripening under glass that caught the sun like promises. We didn't win a grant, but we got something better. A plaque from the city, and invitations to speak at other schools. Marcus and I, we graduated that June, heading to state college on scholarships. Him for environmental science, me for engineering. The kisses came easier then, in dorm rooms with posters of fractals and blueprints tacked to cinderblock walls. Betrayal had scarred us, but it forged something unbreakable. Love not as a fragile bloom, but a resilient vine, twisting through the cracks to find light. Pittsburgh faded in the rearview, but the lessons didn't. In a country that sometimes feels like it's always one swing away from shattering, we learned to build anyway. To love fiercely, sabotage be damned. And in the quiet moments, when doubt creeps in like autumn chill, I remember that night. The fire, the fight, the hand in mine. We didn't just save a greenhouse. We saved each other. And that's the real green revolution.